Good evening, Fantasy Goats. How's everybody doing tonight? I am Commissioner Rhino, and to my right is Drafting Dan. We are here to go over what transpired last night in the East-West Shrine game and talk about players that we're definitely interested in seeing in the Senior Bowl tomorrow. How you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good, pretty relaxed. The off season's here. It's a little bit boring, but we've still got some football, so that's better
Yeah.
than nothing. And some of these young guys look pretty good. They a couple of them showed out in the last game, the Shrine Bowl.
So which to say, 3 or 4 players
I
you think
liked.
shine the most?
Yeah, I wrote them down here. I like Nick Nash played in this game. He was the Triple Crown winner from
Mm-hmm.
all of college football.
Right. And
He
he's from
looked
a
pretty.
small school, right?
Yeah, I think he played at San Jose State.
Yeah, that's right. San Jose State.
He looked pretty comfortable out there. He looked pretty
Right.
fluid.
Yeah, you
Like, I
did.
don't think he made a lot of plays, but I did like the way that he ran his routes. I like the way that he looked overall. Like, he looked like he belonged.
Yeah, he
So
did.
I'm excited to see, where he ends up. Because if he ends up in like a really good offense, an offense that's gonna deploy him properly, he could really do some damage at the next level. I like his game a lot.
The other receiver that I liked was the kid from Eastern Washington.
Oh yeah, the guy who was
Pickle.
punt returning, right?
No, he's a wide receiver, but he's a wide
Yeah.
receiver, but punt returner. He's the
Hmm.
one that tall white dude.
Yeah, he wore
He
like number
broke
81.
Cooper Cup's records at Eastern Washington, and he
Oh,
was fluid.
nice.
He was fluid in and
Yeah,
out.
he looked pretty good. Yeah, he looked pretty good
And when he
too.
caught the ball, he high pointed the ball.
Hmm.
He was catching the contested catches and stuff. So
Hmm.
he's somebody that just definitely his stock went up.
Yeah, and they used him all over the place. They used
Yeah,
him on like jet sweeps, on screens. They used him. They sent him. I don't remember if they sent him deep, but they had him at kick return. And I know usually
and
the
punt
guys who
return
are really
too.
athletic and punt return,
Yeah.
those are the guys that they let go back there. So he could be. He's an interesting prospect.
And the more that somebody can do like that, the better off they are in the NFL.
Exactly.
Because
Hmm.
a lot of players can earn their way onto a team through special teams.
Hmm.
You know. And then the one player really stood out was the kid from University of Arizona.
Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Yeah,
Get it
that's his
hard
name.
time fast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was
But
impressive. He,
yeah.
he the games I watched during the season with Arizona, he
Hmm.
impressed the shit out of me. He runs with vengeance. That's probably the best way to describe him. He's hard to get down.
Mm.
Um, he kind of reminds me of how Pacheco runs, just straight through people, and it's
To
hard to
to
get
me
down.
he to me he looked more like Arian Foster. Like
Ooh,
he's a much like taller and like leaner looking back, and like he has some really long strides.
yeah,
So
that's
I
actually a
think
good
that,
comparison.
yeah, he hits the hole pretty hard. So like that's good. Like he has a decent amount of juice. He has a decent amount of acceleration. But I think he's a very like he looks like he runs very high. But I think it's just because he's tall. I don't think he's actually running high.
No, I think he's like
But yeah,
5'10", 215, something like
he's a
that.
good
220.
he's a good pass catcher too.
Yeah, very much so. And there's actually there's a couple of defensive players that stood out too. Was it Siegel and then Herring that were his real
Uh,
thumpers? The one
who
had
was what's the first name you said?
was it Siegel? Siegel?
As Seigel?
Yeah,
Was he what position was he playing?
defensive back.
Defensive back. Do you know what school he's from?
I can't remember. And then Herring. Those two stood out on the defensive side for me. And then the
Was the
quarterback.
other one the other one was a DB too?
Yeah. The other,
Oh,
and then the quarterback from I believe was Wyoming, Cam Miller.
Cam Miller. He looked pretty good too.
He looked good.
Yeah,
He
dual
looked good. His
threat.
draft,
Yeah.
his draft stock went up too.
Hmm. I
So
liked there was a big man from Ole Miss, a
Walker
JJ Pegus or Pegus,
was
I
the
think his
biggest.
name. Yeah, it's Pegeus. He had a one-handed interception from nose tackle,
Oh
and
yeah,
that
he was the
was
one that he number 89. He was also
yeah,
a tight end. He played tight
yeah,
end too in
hmm
college. We went both
hmm
ways in college. That's right. That's right.
yeah. That was mad impressive. And he
Yeah.
tried to take it to the house too. It took a few people to jump on top of his back and get him down. I think Jordan Phillips, the guy who wore number 8, he looked
Hmm.
pretty good too. He was very violent. He was very active. He was like everywhere, and he got the defense juiced up. It's a shame that he was on the defense
Yeah.
that gave up 30 something points, and not on the defense that held the shutout. But he definitely stood out amongst everybody else. There were the two Cal defensive backs. They were pretty good too. One of them
Right.
was a corner and the other one was a safety. There was a play that they made together where like the corner turned around in time. He played the ball in the air. He tipped it, and then the safety tried to intercept the ball, but he tripped over his own teammate. So that didn't really go too well. But they had some really good instincts. Like they were flying to the ball. They were those guys were hitting. Like the team, I think it was the West that has the shutout because the West
Yeah.
won 35-0. So the West defense, they were playing
They're
hard.
playing hard and playing. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Playing hard and hungry. And there's, I mean, what was the running back from the East? Brooks. He stood out. That's about the only person that stood on the East.
Yeah. The East
Nobody else
side
stood
was
out.
very underwhelming. There was a tight end on the East side. I think Luke Lackey or Lachey from Iowa.
Okay. Yeah.
He is a big body tight end. He's 6'6", almost 250. He's like 248. And he was a big play guy. He didn't really have that many catches at Iowa, but it's another one of those guys where it's an Iowa tight end. When he's out there, he looks like an Iowa
Yeah.
tight end. Like he looks like he does a little bit of everything.
And
So
he'll be
like
drafted because he's an Iowa tight
because
end.
he's an Iowa tight end, exactly.
And most like the other tight ends that came out of Iowa, they didn't get drafted maybe in the mid, late day 2, middle of day
Yeah, like
3.
in the second round. Yeah, I think that's where he'll probably be taken in like the second or third round.
Yeah.
Because this draft though, like the amount of tight ends that are in this class, like this tight end class is insane.
Yeah. Big time.
It's gonna be one of those like pick your flavors, whichever tight end you're looking for. You need a blocking tight end. There's like 3 or 4 of them. You need a pass catching tight end. There's 4 of those. You need hybrids. There's maybe like 2 or 3.
Since we've broken the tight end, before we go into players we're looking forward to, we have a promotion that we're doing right now, and we're gonna talk about that. So we're doing this with Brady Ballers, BradyBallers.com. Give away fully customized mini helmets, logo included. Build your colors, styles, finishes. Like and subscribe to Fantasy Ghost YouTube. Drop a comment, sub in the comment section of the video. And then during the Super Bowl pregame live stream, we'll be doing a drawing for one of these. These things are pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So make sure you like and subscribe to the Fantasy Goats YouTube channel. Thank you. So let's talk about the tight ends.
Yeah.
Let's just go right there first, because in the Senior Bowl, there's a number of tight ends that are shining, and one in particular, more than anybody else, is Elijah Arroyo.
Elijah Arroyo, yeah.
6'4", 245. He had 35 catches for 590 yards, 7 touchdowns, 16.9 yards average.
Sheesh.
And the tight ends weren't, and you could contest to this too, because your college football knowledge is a lot more than mine. They didn't really throw the tight end that much, but he was used all over the place as a tight end for the games I watched. He's from the slot, from the outside. He can block. He can do everything.
Yeah, I mean, one of the benefits that he had was that the style of offense that he played in and the quarterback that he played with. It's like Miami's defense was really bad, but their quarterback was like very, very, very good. So they were in a lot of shootouts. They had to score 40, 45, 50 points a lot of weeks, and they were trying to get into the college football playoffs. So they aired the ball out a lot. And I think that Arroyo's size, they used him a lot to create mismatches. They used him a lot in space. They used him a lot in like crossing routes and things like that. Like I think that he's like I mean, the only person that he kind of reminds me of is kind of like a Jimmy Graham ish, kind of
Ooh,
like I was gonna say I think Aaron Gonzalez too. So like he's very like he has a very like slender frame, but he's big enough that he can create mismatches. He can high point
right.
the ball. He can out jump most DBs and he can outrun most linebackers. So like I think he's a great like move tight end.
And one of the other tight ends too that is standing out, but also is having issues is Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
6'4", 230, 117 catches, 1,155 yards, 10 touchdowns, averaging 13.3 average a catch. From the highlights I was seeing of him on X and then looking at highlights on YouTube, the kid
Mm-hmm.
has soft hands, but he's undersized at 230,
Yep. 230.
and he is
Mm-hmm.
having trouble blocking.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to NFL, what are they going to do with him? Would be a tweener, or would
He
you?
would have to be. They would have to use him like how we use Kylan Granson. Like we
Mm,
don't really send him out to block much because he's a little bit on the smaller side. But if you can get him in the slot, you can get him like matched up against the DB. You can get him matched up against a slower linebacker. Then you could use him in that part of the game. But I feel like he has to be schemed a lot to get open. So
right.
like he has to be used on a lot of like picks, a lot of screens, a lot of like short routes. Like you have to force feed him targets in order for him to be good. And he's very like he's okay out in an open field, but I don't think he's the type of tight end where you'd have him in for all three downs and you'd have him like, do
No.
different things, have different assignments and things like that. I don't think he's quite built for it. So he's like a big body wide receiver, but as a tight end.
Right.
And my comp for him was actually slimmer Antonio Gates, because I feel
Ooh,
like that's who he kind of moves like in the short
right.
areas because he's very stiff. And Antonio Gates wasn't really like a guy who had like a lot of wiggle. He knew how to set people
Mhm.
up, and I think that's who Harold Fanning is. He's a little bit like on a boxier end. Like he's like a lot of muscle. He's like David Njoku.
Yeah.
David Njoku can move, but he's kind of stiff.
And this is I think the battle between him and Arroyo. Whoever shines more is going to be tight end three behind Warren and Lovely.
Honestly, I really don't know if you can even say those guys are automatically going to be tight ends
No,
one and
no,
two.
no. I'm saying, but
Yeah,
that they're working towards that right now.
yeah. I mean, yeah, so far, but it's all going to depend on where they get drafted. It's all going to depend on what situation that they end up in. But as far as talents, yeah, those guys are definitely the top two.
And then another tight end that stuck out to me while I was looking at highlights and stuff is Mason Taylor from LSU.
I like Mason Taylor.
Yeah, 6'5", 255, 55
Mhm.
catches for 546 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 9.9 average, which doesn't seem like a lot, but LSU really didn't throw too much to their tight end
Mhm.
because they had
Yeah,
good
I mean,
receivers.
yeah, they had good receivers, exactly. I mean, they even had running backs who can
Right.
catch passes. They had a freshman, Durham, who was
Hmm.
really good in the passing game. I like Mason Taylor. I think that he's like his comp for me is like Jason Witten or Hunter Henry.
Oh,
Like those are the kind of guys who like they'll do everything. They do
right.
a little bit of everything and they do everything well, but they don't really have like a specialty. Like he doesn't really have anything that he does, extraordinarily over the other. But he knows how to get open. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to block. He knows how to, put his body in the way. He knows how to use his frame to create leverage. He can box out DBs. He can outrun linebackers too.
Right.
So I think he's a very solid option. He'll probably come off the board in like the middle rounds, but I do think that if he ends up on an already good team or if he ends up in a good system, he could contribute right away.
And he's a blocking tight end too,
And he's a blocking
which
tight end.
which is
Yeah.
which is important because if you're a
Hmm.
blocking tight end and a receiving tight end, you generally won't lead the field too much.
Hmm.
So you'll get uh, more
You get more value out of him
more
that way.
value. Yeah,
Yeah, and you can have him on the field for more downs. Oh, Luke Musgrave is another tight end that Mason Taylor reminds me of.
that's a good one too.
Mm.
Then another one I like is Gunnar Helm
Gunnar Helm,
out of
yeah.
Texas.
Hmm.
6'5", 250, 60 catches for 786, 7 touchdowns, 13.1 yards per catch. And
Hmm.
from the film I've seen on him and watching him during the season,
Hmm.
he's good.
Yeah.
He can hit the stream pass
Hmm.
down the middle, and he has soft
Yeah. That
hands, good
seam.
hands,
Yeah. Hmm.
and he's a blocking tight end too.
Yep. I mean, and in the offense that he was in, he had no choice but to block.
Yeah, and I
And
know he was
if you
a lot
don't
of
block,
times. Yeah, a lot of times he was my guy Ewers,
yeah,
go to.
yeah, yeah, he was a good security blanket. Yeah, I like Gunnar Helm too. Gunnar Helm is like he's the definition of reliable. Like
Hmm.
he's always there on third down. He'll always make the right play. He makes the right reads, right decisions. He can block. He can catch. He has a big catch radius. So like you can throw it pretty much anywhere and he'll go get it. Yeah, he's yeah. This class is loaded at tight end.
It is. It's very strong tight end class. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean you could actually get one in fourth, fifth round.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a tight end one for your team.
And honestly, I think that the smart teams, like the teams who really want to upgrade their rooms, they should draft two of them. Like if you really want to upgrade, like I hope that the Indianapolis Colts drafts two tight ends. I would love to get two guys from this class and let them battle it out with whoever else that we retain for next year and create some real competition. Because I feel like if you're going to upgrade a tight end, this has to be the year that you do it.
Yeah, I know this is a. I know Rams be looking for a tight end this year
Oh yeah.
because we're not sure if Pigby's going to be around.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, is there any other tight ends that stood out to you?
I liked the tight end out of Clemson, Jake Brenningstool.
Okay, yep. I have his.
All right. Yeah, Jake Brenningstool. He is 6'6", 240. He had 49 receptions for 530 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he averaged 10.8 yards per catch. He's another like slender framed
Mhm.
pass catching tight end. Like you can put him in the seam, you can put him outside against the DB, you can use him, down the middle. He's another guy who has some really good hands, and he can make some moves after the catch too.
He was kind of hurt by quarterback play, right? By Clemson. If I remember right, Clemson didn't really have the best quarterback.
I mean, Klubnik is okay. I wouldn't say Klubnik is an elite prospect, but he's not terrible either. Like he's one of those guys that's like, he's good enough to win you and your team a couple of games, but I don't know if he'll be able to win them a national championship.
Right. All right. Let's get into quarterbacks.
Let's
The
do it.
first one that it kind of cracks me up because they're saying he can be the third quarterback and maybe in the first round, and I don't see it. That's Jalen Milroe from Alabama, 6'2",
Absolutely not.
6'2", 225, three for 2,084 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11 receptions, 78.4 QBR, a huge rushing upside, but he has trouble hitting the mid range passes. He's got a huge arm. Huge arm.
Yep. Jalen Milroe is like Anthony Richardson plus, in my opinion.
Oh, really?
Like I think so. Yeah, I think that Jalen Milroe has the same running ability, if not a little bit more dynamic than Anthony Richardson is. But as far as the arm, I would say their arms are similar in the way
Yeah.
that they can both throw really deep, they can both throw really far, they can both, throw the ball really hard. But when it comes to consistent accuracy, I don't think, I'm hoping that AR takes the jump this offseason, but I don't think that I would say like today that I would trust him as an accurate passer. And I think it's the same thing for Jalen Milroe. The
Yeah.
running upside is there. If somebody
Yeah.
can coach him properly, He can get his arm where it needs to be, but I do not trust him as a passer today.
No, I think if he's drafted, which he should probably be second round, he shouldn't go in the first round.
Yeah.
Whoever drafts him should have a starter already in line
Mm-hmm.
as a bridge quarterback. Let him sit for a
Mm-hmm.
year, get coached up, and then play.
Mm-hmm. Like I think, for example, if a guy like Marcus Mariota were to go to, a different team,
Jets,
and that team wants to use him as the bridge, and that team drafts Jalen Milrow, then
right?
it's like, okay, well, he can learn behind that style of quarterback. He can, help him, develop his mechanics and become, a much more accurate passer. But I think he would have to sit behind somebody early.
Yeah, he would have to.
Mm-hmm.
And the other quarterback that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and he's getting a lot of hype. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, hype to where he could be QB3 in the first round. Like
Who's that?
he might be drafted before Shador Sanders. Who's that? Jackson Dart on Mississippi. 6'2",
Ooh.
225. 6'2",
Oh
225,
no.
4,207 yards, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 86.3 QBR with rushing upside too. But he's getting a ton of hype. A ton.
Do not
People.
believe what anyone
No,
tells
no.
you about the
I
hype.
know. I
The
know. There's
first two
teams.
quarterbacks that are coming off the board, this is just like JJ McCarthy. This is just like JJ McCarthy. It's all smoke.
I agree. I agree. But it's funny how much hype he's getting. I mean, like there's stuff out there saying the Giants are in love with him. Giants are in love with him.
Yeah.
Well, they can be in love with him, but still
Everybody's in
drafting the
love this
second
time of
round.
year.
What's
Hmm.
that?
I said everybody's in love this time of year. It's always the one thing that I always carry with me into the off season and into like the drafts and things like that. Wherever it is that they had a prospect before the season ended, it's likely where that prospect is going to end up at the next level, or that's likely the order that they're going to get drafted in. It's
Right.
rare that like a player was like the fourth or the fifth in their position before the season ended, and then by the time the draft comes around, now they're getting selected number one, they're getting selected like over some other guys. It can happen, but
Yep.
the only way that it happens is if the numbers match whatever it is, like whatever like product. Like if the person lost a couple games in college but they threw for like 5,000 yards, then you're going to be
Right.
like, okay, well, he was obviously doing something right. That's what happened to Mahomes. Texas Tech didn't win a lot of games, but Mahomes was throwing for like 5,000 yards in college.
Well, look at Michael Penix last year.
Michael Penix, exactly.
He
But
was
but
he
the
was
difference
he
is
was
though,
playing
Michael
maybe
Penix made it to a
late
playoff
first
game.
or early second.
Yeah, but he made it to a playoff game. So like
Yeah.
that is a little bit different because the production is actually there, and
Right.
he's been doing really well for the last 3 years. So like I get it, but I also didn't think that he was gonna go at 8 either. Like 8 was still pretty high.
All right. I'll let you talk on the next one. I was going to sit back and just listen to you talk. The
What for
next quarterback who
the
I
next
would love,
quarterback?
the next quarterback that I'm interested in seeing, that I'd love for the Rams to draft,
Or that you would
out
love for the honestly,
Ohio State, Mr.
I'm
Will
not even
Howard.
gonna lie to you.
What?
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Will Howard, 6'4", 235,
Oh yeah.
4,010 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 89.6 QBR. He also has a little bit of rushing upside too. I'm going to leave that to
Mhm.
you. You go.
Will Howard, I don't know. Incredible leader. Super athletic. His teammates love him. His coaches love him. He's like the ultimate football guy. Like he's the guy you'd want to lead your franchise at the end of the day. He's the guy who you'd want to be at the forefront. Will Howard was definitely much better than I thought he was going to be. I had my doubts when we first signed him, but I was like, let's see what this kid can do. And every single week, granted, he was surrounded by some elite talent. He had some
Yeah.
great guys on his team, but when the plays were there to be made,
He
he
made them.
made the plays. When the throws needed to be made, he made the throws. When he needed to thread some needles, he was threading some needles. So, like, I don't know why he wouldn't work at the next level. Even if all he ends up being is a solid backup that like plays for a few teams and he becomes a journeyman. Like I see it hard for him to fail considering what he can do, his intangibles. Granted, sometimes his decision making is a little like off, but if he were to end up on a team like the Rams, like I think Sean McVay would use him to his full
Yeah.
capabilities.
Yeah, I agree. What other quarterbacks you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing Dylan Gabriel.
Are you?
Because Dylan Gabriel he's a little bit like weird of a prospect because he's 6 feet. He's listed at 200 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not that big, but he is very electric. Like he can use his legs, he can run, he can throw. Like I know he can make the deep ball, but I'm not sure I've seen a lot of him, making throws down the middle of the field or like squeezing in throws into tight windows.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has them, but like I don't think that he does that consistently enough for him to be successful at the next level. But he could end up being like a Russell Wilson type of
Right.
quarterback, where he goes to a team that has a good old line, some good weapons, a really good defense, and they just ask him to just not turn the ball over.
Well, whatever team he goes to too would need to be let him roll out and throw the ball.
Right.
He can't be a pocket passer. And
Mm-hmm.
he threw for 3,857 yards, 30 touchdowns, and
And
six
6 interceptions.
interceptions, and
Mm-hmm.
then 86.4 QBR too.
Insane.
Yeah. Any other quarterbacks you're interested in seeing?
Aside from the ones that you named,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how Riley Leonard looks.
That's funny. I was just going to say him.
Yeah, I don't know if his arm will be good enough for him to like be effective at the next level. But I've heard a lot of good things about Riley Leonard. Everybody keeps talking about how great of a leader he is, his coach, his teammates. So like they keep saying that he's a really good guy. Like
Right.
he's a great leader. He's a great example. But like you're gonna have to throw some passes at the next level. And I don't know, maybe if he were to like back up a guy like Lamar, or if he can go somewhere, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. You want my confidence to him?
Who's your comp?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. Yeah, that's a really good comp.
If he
Yeah.
comes in and just does everything because he can do that, especially right. He's a powerful runner.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful runner. If he comes in and is open minded about being used like that as a tight end, as a running back, as a fullback, and as a quarterback, he'll etch out a career like Taysom Hill.
Yeah, that would be
I know
nice.
Taysom Hill is our Shepherd's favorite football player.
Yeah.
He usually drafts him like in the third round, I think, because he loves him so much.
Taysom Hill is amazing, man. He can do everything. He can get you points from everywhere.
Because I mean, players like that need to be open about that, and he has that tool set to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I
think
him
that
with the right team, and then use him like that. That could be good.
Mm-hmm. I think if he were to gain like 20, 25 more pounds, I think he'd be an elite tight end. He's 6'4", 216 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If he gained like 25 pounds, he'd be like 240, 245 at 6'4", with the running ability that he has. He'd be a great tight end.
He has a decent arm. It's not horrible.
Yeah.
He can make the throws, but not
right. You can use him on some trick plays, some reverses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Next position. We say running back or wide receiver.
I mean, I don't know which one of them I love more. Like we should do running back first.
Okay. So the first one, because we might have some different ones that we're interested in here.
Yeah.
So the first one, I might butcher the name here. I might butcher it. By Shul Tootin, Virginia Tech.
Oh,
5'11".
Is it Bashul Tootin? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name either.
You did a better job than me. So 5'11", 183 pounds, 1,154 yards, 15 touchdowns, averaged 6.3 yards a carry. He big time. The highlights I saw that I was looking, big time receiving upside, and plus a kick returner too.
electric.
Electric.
He is, yeah, he is lightning in a bottle. That man, whenever he sees a crease, he hits it hard.
And
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. He's an electric runner. I like his game a lot. I like the way he runs in between the tackles. Like and he can take a punishment too. Like he
Yeah.
has his contact balance is pretty good. I like him a lot.
If he can gain probably like 17 pounds, it'd be better. But
I mean, I don't think he'll need to gain 17 pounds. Maybe like what's his weight right now?
183.
180. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so
How
he'll probably end up being more of a scat back.
would you say that he compares to like a James Cook? Because James Cook is about that
No,
weight, isn't he?
no, James Cook is 198.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's 198.
He don't look 198.
He doesn't look 198 because he's tall.
Damn.
Yeah, he has a very like slim frame.
I wish I looked like that if I weighed 198. That's like my
Yeah,
weight
right.
down the way.
I mean, that's what muscle does. You have a little bit of height and you have some muscle on top of that.
I need to work on that then.
Yeah, James Cook is 5'11", so he's pretty much 6 feet tall, but he's listed here as 190.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other running back I'm really looking forward to is Jaquarius Marks out of SC. 5'10", 208, 198 carries for.
His nickname is Willie, right? Like Willie Marks. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
198 carries for 1,033 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8.7 yards per carry. He's got receiving upside too.
Mm-hmm.
He is pretty dynamic. He don't
that
look
8.7 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That 8.7 yards per carry is serious.
Yes, it is. And when he hits that hole, he hits it hard and gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he's much faster than he looks.
A lot faster.
Yeah.
And he runs through tackles too.
He does.
You can't. You very rarely tackle him on the first tackle.
Yeah.
If he gets to that second level, he's done. And he has a really good receiving upside.
Yeah, he does.
Really
he's a nice dual threat running back. One of the things that I'm thinking about this offseason is like one of these running backs is gonna end up on the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know whose purchase go there, and I don't have on my my list is Omar Hampton.
Omarion Hampton, yeah. But honestly though, like the Chiefs typically, aside from the Nigerian Nightmare, I don't think they've had a lot of like really heavy backs. No. Like I don't think they really like those guys. Like I think they like the guys that are like muscular but like small. Like they're like compact in frame. That's usually the Chiefs running. Like Jamal Charles was like that. Right. He was kind of small, but he was compact and he was heavy. Damian Williams, the guy that they had during their last Super Bowl run, like he wasn't really that big. So like I don't think that and Omarion Hampton is like he's like a Le'Veon Bell style back, but he's big, like he's gigantic.
Right. Then one of the other running backs I'm looking forward to seeing is Damian Martinez, 6 foot, 232, 159 carries for 1,002 yards, 10 touchdowns, average 6.3. He's got a huge receiving upside too.
Yeah.
He the games I've watched and then highlights. Mm-hmm. He I had a comp now. I freaking forgot who it was. But he's sneaky fast too. He didn't get a lot of carries. That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he played in a committee.
The carries that he did have, he made use of them.
Mm-hmm.
He rarely got caught behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
When he gets tackled, he falls forward.
Mm-hmm. And everybody has use for that. He's 232 pounds, so he's not a light running back whatsoever. No. So like he delivers some punishment. And to have 159 carries but still rush for 1,000 yards, like that's pretty insane.
Yeah,
like he's a really like big play guy, and they used him a lot at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and they split him out too.
Yeah,
for one-on-ones because he is a mismatch.
Yeah,
they split him out and bring in Elijah Arroyo inside the slot, and then they would go.
Yeah, that's how they create some of the best mismatches.
All right. Next one I have is Trevor Etienne, 5'9", 205, 122 carries for 609 yards, 9 touchdowns, average 5 yards a carry. Doesn't see much, but the games I watched him play, he just looked real. Looked like the
Yeah.
real deal.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got some juice. That's Travis Etienne's little brother.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so he's he knows the ropes. He knows what he needs to do. He knows how to work. He knows how to be a pro because his brother is a pro. So yeah, him it would definitely just have to be where he ends up. But I think he's one of those people who can be, he can be solid wherever he ends up.
Mm-hmm. Then one more I have is Brashard Smith out of SMU.
Oh yeah.
I 5'10", 196 pounds, 235 carries, 1,732 yards, 14 touchdowns, average 5.7 yards a carry. Huge receiving upside.
Hmm.
This kid's fast. From the film, the highlights I've seen, this kid is done.
You know who he reminds me of?
Gibbs.
Uh, no, Percy Harving.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a name that you don't throw out. You don't hear too often.
yeah,
Mr.
that's what he
Migraine.
reminds me of. Yeah, because he does a lot of the similar, like a lot of the same things. He can line up out of the backfield and be a running back. He can catch short routes. He can catch deep routes. He can catch wheel routes out of the backfield. You can line him up against the linebacker in a slot. You can line him up against the corner in a slot. You can line him up out wide against an outside corner, and he'll beat them. Like he is electric, and he can play anywhere on the field.
Yeah. Is there any running backs that stood out to you?
I like LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse.
Uh huh.
He's really he's a really good pass. Like he's a dynamic do it all running back. He's 6 feet tall, 201 pounds. Last year he had 228 carries for 1,021 yards. He scored 16 touchdowns
Damn.
and he averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He's a tough nosed runner. He's fluid and he's an excellent pass catcher. Like he's very like slippery, and because he is 6 feet, his weight kind of like distributes very evenly. So he's very like thin framed, and because of that, he does this thing where he like squeezes his body, and like people he goes in between defenders because of how slim he is.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he slips. Has slipped a lot of tackles like that.
What about Neil from Kansas City?
Oh, he's a solid running back too. He is like, what's
Josh
his
Jacob.
name? No, Ray Davis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Neil
Big
reminds me
man.
of Ray Davis.
He I watched a couple of Kansas games this year, and he always stood out.
Hmm.
Always stood out to me.
Yeah,
Because he runs hard and runs through people too.
yeah, he's the heart of that team. He's their captain.
Yeah. All right.
Well, he was.
Any other running backs that stood out to you?
Other running backs, Donovan Edwards from Michigan. He's
That's
pretty
funny. I had him on
interesting.
my list too.
Hmm. Like he spent much of his time in a committee this past season. He
Yeah,
was in a
with
committee.
Mulligans.
Yeah, they were together, and then the year before that, it was him
And
and
like Corum.
Blake Corum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he's been used in a committee. He's always been the taller back out of the whatever backs that he was in the backfield with. He's
Mhm.
212 pounds. He's not really explosive, but he's one of those like long striders, fight for yards. He's kind of like Melvin Gordon, but a little bit smaller.
Oh, okay.
That's his running style. Like he always keeps his knees high when he runs. He turns for extra yards. But he could be a solid pro.
What about is it AJ Harvey from UCF?
AJ Harvey is explosive. I think he's one of those like guys who used to be track stars. I'm not sure if he's a football player who used to run track or if
Oh,
he's a track star who's playing football.
that's a
I'm
that's a
not
big
sure yet.
difference sometimes.
Hmm.
That's a big difference because there's a lot of players that are like that don't make it out of camp or
Hmm.
go from play third string rest of their career.
Exactly.
All right, man. Last position,
Hmm.
wide receivers.
Wide receivers.
And I think there's some sneaky good receivers in this class.
Yeah.
If not, It's not strong like last year, but I think there's gonna
Hmm.
be some that will sneak up on you and go, "Holy
Hmm.
crap, this kid is good." I can't believe we got him in the freaking sixth round.
Right? Any team right now that has a wide receiver one but doesn't have a wide receiver two, or they're
There
planning
you
to let
go.
go of their wide receiver two, they can find a wide receiver two in this draft.
Yeah. So the first one that I like and I liked from the game film and the highlights is Jalen Royals, 6 foot, 205. He had 55 catches for 834 yards, 6 touchdowns, 15.2 yards per average. He's a yak machine.
What team does he play? Did he play for?
He played for Utah State.
Utah State. Okay, I don't think I'm
He,
familiar with him.
I know because
But
it's
that,
Utah State. They didn't have a
yeah,
very good record, so he didn't. He's not going to stand out
right.
because of the record. You know,
But
they
that,
weren't. They were a bottom tier team,
mhm.
not a top tier, mid tier team.
But
But
that 15 point something
2 yards.
yards, yeah, yards per cast. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, 6 foot, 205 too.
Sheesh.
Has some kick returner, punt returner capabilities too.
Yeah, explosive. Hmm.
And then the next one, and I love this kid. Love this kid. Tez Johnson
Tez
out of
Johnson, yeah,
Oregon.
my guy.
5'10", 165 pounds wet.
Yeah.
83 catches for 898 yards, 10 yards per yard, 10 touchdowns, 16.8 yards per catch, punt returner, and he's a yak machine.
Hmm.
And he is turning heads. They're saying there's no DBs that can cover him in practice.
Hmm. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, and he's been creating separation. Yeah, the dude is light, but so is Xavier Worthy. So is Tank Dell. Like those guys, it's
So
just
was Tutu
that's just
Atwell.
the risk. Yeah, Tutu Atwell. Like that's just the risk that you're just gonna have to take with those guys.
And
It's
there's a
just
lot. It seems like
they.
there's a lot of them coming out like that too. I mean,
Mhm.
look at Devontae Smith. He's what 6'1", 185 pounds wet, 180
Yeah,
pounds,
something like
something
that. Yeah,
like that. No, we're not doing kickers. We don't we
yeah,
don't do
definitely
kickers.
not doing kickers.
I
Yeah.
scout the UFL for kickers. That's what I do.
Hmm.
The next one out of LSU, I love this kid. The media have talked about him too. It's Kyron
Hmm.
Lacey, 6'2",
Kyron Lacy.
213 pounds, 58 catches for 866 yards, 9 touchdowns, 14.9 yards per catch. He's fluid.
Yeah, he looks like another one of those LSU wide receivers. Like he just knows how to use his body. He knows where to be, when to be there. He knows how to set up his defenders. He knows how to score touchdowns. He knows how to get behind them. He knows how to get underneath them. He knows how to get around them. Like he seems like a very like solid all around wide receiver. And I his comp is it Jordan Addison? Yeah, Jordan Addison is
Okay.
my comp for him.
Now, do you think his legal problems he had? Do you think that's going to weigh in on him, or do you think he needs
Yeah,
to kill? Do you think he needs to kill the interviews with the
I,
team?
I think that no matter what happens, because of that, he'll slide. Because it's just that's just how they are. Like whenever if there's anything that has to do with your name and the police, your stock is gonna drop. So
Yeah,
like yeah,
and I don't think
but
there's
that could be
any.
good for him though,
Yeah,
because,
and so
because then
for
he
somebody
could.
else too.
Right. Yeah, he could end up in a really good situation, and hopefully that him getting in trouble a little bit will humble him, and him falling a little bit will humble him a bit, so that he can work harder, so that he can have a chip on his shoulder, so that he can try and outwork everybody around him, because the NFL does not want to hear anything about the you and the police.
No, and that's the only thing I've ever heard about him. I mean, his I've heard that he's a good teammate and he works hard.
Hmm.
It's just that one incident that was just
Yeah, that was the
not
only
good.
negative
Not
thing.
good.
Yeah,
And I don't know if he's related to Eddie Royal. I thought that myself.
Eddie Lacy.
No, Jalen Royals was related to
Oh,
Eddie
Jalen
Royal.
Royals.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Mhm.
All right, next one out of TCU, Jack Beck,
Oh
6'2",
yeah.
215, 62 catches for 1,034 yards, 9 touchdowns,
Sheesh.
16.7 yards per catch.
That's insane.
He's he's got a freaking wingspan too. He can He could get to contested balls without even jumping.
How tall did you say he was?
6'2", 215.
6'2", 215. Nice, not bad.
He is good get off the line. He's fluid.
Mm-hmm.
He can run every route tree, every
Mm-hmm.
route in the tree.
He can win at every level too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's the highlights I've seen on tape just impressed me, and then what I've seen through the practices this week, he's turning heads,
Mm-hmm.
turning heads.
Yeah.
A lot of these it's interesting because a lot of these, you watch them on film and stuff, you wonder how fast they run. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a few that I've seen like the kid from SMU looks like he'll probably run a 4.3.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any like pure burners, but there
I
might.
no, I think there will be. There's always the one position that always offers burners, no matter what happens, is the DBs. Because for
True. Oh
some
yeah.
reason, like the corners are always like blazing fast.
All right. Next one, who was named the practice leader. He won the award
Practice
for
player
best.
of uh
Is Jalen Noel out of Iowa State.
I have him too.
All right, on 5'11", 200 pounds, 80 catches for 1,094 yards, 8 touchdowns,
Sheesh.
14.9. They're saying that he could be wide receiver one on a team.
Yeah, I mean he could be, but he's more like a he's built like Debo.
Yeah,
He's like a shorter, stout, like I'm pretty sure he has some good rushing yardage on the season as well. But like, yeah, I mean, he has the temperament, he has the ability, the physical skill to be a wide receiver one. I could see him stepping in somewhere with like, an average room and him taking over.
yeah. um, his highlights, and I think one of the for him to get 1,044 yards for Iowa State, who's not a throwing school.
They're not throwing school, yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
they,
this
they
year
had,
they were.
huh?
This year they were because
Were
they had two 1,100 yard receivers. So like this year they aired the ball out
Was
a lot.
Caleb Johnson?
No, it was Jaden Higgins and Noel. Both of them
Okay.
played
No,
for
no,
Iowa
the
State.
running back. Wasn't Caleb Johnson running back for Iowa State?
Oh yeah, Caleb Johnson is the running
Yeah.
back for Iowa. He's a really good player too.
Well, actually, Iowa State finished in the top 15, didn't they, this year? Or was it Iowa that did?
No, I think that was Iowa State. So Caleb Johnson plays for Iowa, but
Okay.
Jalen Noel plays for Iowa State.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last one that that I like, I can't wait to see what he does, is Kyle Williams from Washington State. 6 foot, 186, 70 catches for 1,198 yards, 14 touchdowns, 17.1 yards per catch. Upside is big time. Receiving, rushing upside too, jet sweeps, punt return,
Mhm.
kickoff return too. His downfall was he played for a crap ass team in Washington State.
Mhm.
Like he on the highlights, he stands out. He runs
Mhm.
all the route trees.
Right.
He's something that if he gets any balls out, he's going to turn some heads.
Mhm. Yeah,
And the games
he's
I
one of the
watched at
dynamic.
Washington State, he played.
Right.
He stuck out to me. He stands
Mhm.
out. Stands out.
Yeah, he's a dynamic playmaker. Yeah.
All right, which ones do you have?
I also had Jalen Noel. I have a guy here by the name of Pat Bryant that plays
Mhm.
for Illinois. He is 6'3", 200 pounds. He had 54 receptions for 984 yards and 10 touchdowns. He averaged 18.2 yards per catch.
Damn.
Yep. Big play wide receiver. He averaged nearly 20 yards per reception. And he has great size too at 6'3", 200 pounds. Like he's
That's
a very
big.
capable. Yeah. What? I'm sorry?
That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
That's the size of freaking Farman or Harold Farman.
Yeah.
The writer from Bowling Green.
Yep. 6'3", 200 pounds. Yeah, he's outside guy. You can use him in the slot too. He has really good hands. He separates at the top of his breaks. He's dynamic. He's another electric guy. He only had 54 receptions, but he had almost 1,000 yards.
Right. What about was it Xavier Rest?
Restrepo, I have him too. Yeah,
Thank
he's
you.
like
I don't want to say his name, dude. I was going to kill it. So I feel if I start
Xavier
stuttering,
Restrepo.
you'd cover me. Elmer J.
But
Fred out here going, ruh, ruh.
yeah, he has really good slot receiver size. He's 5'10", 198, so he's pretty like well built. He has 69 receptions for 1127 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 16.3 yards per catch. He's explosive,
Very
elusive. He
explosive.
knows how to find the weak spot in the zone. I think he's like Julian Edelman plus,
Mm,
where like he's a bit more explosive after the catch, but plays they play very like similar stylistically, and I like his game a lot.
right on. All right. So before we go, I want to talk about this promo we got going on one more time. We are teaming up with Brady Ballers, BradyBallers.com. Giveaway fully customized mini helmets, logo included, any logo you wanted. I mean, whatever logo you want, you can put on there. Build your own color, style, and finishes. Like and subscribe, please, to Fantasy Goats YouTube channel. Drop a comment, hashtag subbed in the comment section of the video. And then next week, the drawing will be on Super Bowl pregame live stream, and we will be giving details out of that and when it is and everything next week. Please hit the notifications so you don't miss stuff. And look forward to our preview, the NFC West preview show, and then other ones will drop you next week. Hey, this has been our Senior Bowl takes that we're looking for players that we're looking forward to seeing. Just you got anything last thing to say?
No, Senior Bowl comes on tomorrow, I believe at like 2:30
Yeah.
Eastern time. So yeah, should be a great one. We should see some very polished football and some really talented guys get out there and compete against some other talented guys. Senior Bowl is where I like to put a lot of my stock into
Yeah.
like I include Senior Bowl tape along with the players' evaluation, because the Senior Bowl is essentially their all-star game. So they get to play against other guys who will also be playing on Sundays. And the cream rises to the top during
Yeah.
all-star during these kinds of games. And the guys who stand out, they usually have an impact at the next level.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams like I know the Rams really don't send McVay and Snead to the combine, but they will go to the Senior Bowl because
To the Senior Bowl,
a
yeah.
lot of times they're picking players that didn't play the Senior Bowl. And Jared Verse. Hey, look forward to all the rest of the college content will be with us, and we're looking forward to just giving you information, talk about we'll be doing who we like in Dynasty and other stuff like that. Just please like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and man, just be a difference, make a difference in your life, someone else's life.
Yeah.
Have a good
Spread
weekend.
positivity. Have a
Yep.
great one.
All right, peace out.